background too. We'll get into it after the show.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know Marcus. I
Oh,
didn't figure Chris. I didn't know Marcus.
oh yeah. Oh shoot, let me stop the music. They'll be like, oh, what do they got going on after the
I
show?
know, right? They're gonna really be looking at me all crazy, like, yo, what the hell you got on?
Yeah. Alrighty. Let's put that down. Take me another sip of this wonderful, delightful drink that's probably not good for me. Who knows what all the GMOs and crazy crap which they put in our foods, which they don't tell us about. But that said, thank you for those who are joining us and those who will join us later on. I am here with my good friends, Mr. Emmanuel, known as the Blue Maverick, and Mr. Cy Lawson, sitting there in that oh so fresh, wonderful shirt there.
Blast from the past.
How are you doing, fellas? Oh, by the way, this is the Political Matrix for those who haven't joined us before, first time tuning in. And I'm your host, Young Morpheus. But Chris, let's talk about that shirt first and foremost before we get into anything else. Yes, we need.
Where did you get it, man? That's where I want. Inquiring minds want to know, where did you get the shirt from?
Okay, so a friend of mine's had a birthday party. You know, her daughter turned, 21. So she wanted to throw like she threw a 70s themed party. So they're like, Chris, if you're gonna come, you got to dress up, because they know typically me, I don't do this, all right. So they were like, yo, you got to dress up if you're gonna come, blah blah blah. So I'm driving earlier on today, and I passed Party City, and I'm like, so I go to Party City on the advice from a friend who tells me they have an outfit like this. Whatever. I went to the store. Sure enough, this ugly ass shirt was in there, and these real gold chains was in the store too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that happened.
Well, I'm going to tell you all the real backstory, which I don't think Chris was willing to tell you all. See, the real backstory is that's actually the shirt which Chris wears out before the lockdown. On that was like his I'm about to meet the woman of my dream shirt. Every guy has that shirt picked out, that outfit picked out, designed for when they meet, the woman of their dreams. And that's Chris's shirt. Now, he doesn't want to tell you all the truth. I know the real truth, but
Yeah, that's funny, man. But yeah, that's how that happened.
All right. Let's see. We have Signs joining us. Glad to always see you here, Signs. And we have Kelly saying, happy Saturday, gents, and Disco Chris. Yes, Disco Chris. Yeah, I know we joked around a little bit, but we do have a full show, a ton of stuff. As the fellas can tell you, I had I had a whole absorption of information, which I just kind of tossed out to them, kind of short notice, without them being able to go through all of it. But a lot of these things, the titles will speak for themselves, and we can discuss and get into them a little bit further. A couple of them, they're broken down where it's only covering the main general details, so we don't have to spend a lot of time really going into the story, but we will go into our opinions on it. Of course, you all see what the video is titled, and we have our top stories that we'll get into, which will be, of course, going into Joe Biden and some of the comments which have leaked out. So we'll get into the comments. We'll get into the meat and potatoes on that. We also have AOC constantly seems to be in the headlines and constantly seems to be somebody who we're all talking about, good, bad, or ugly. In this case, I feel it's going to be ugly. So we're going to get into some of those things which came up with her interaction between Justin Jackson on Twitter and Jimmy Doore interviewing him and some of his comments about it. We'll get into that, and we have one other video clip. Oh no, I think it's just those two video clips, but I guess the other main story that we will get into, and we'll save that one for later in the show. That will be the debate, not debate, the legislation which Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard has put out. So it's very controversial, and there are a lot of feelings and thoughts on both sides of the issue. I know from some of the interaction throughout the week that we have differing opinions on the show, and we will flush out both of those opinions, and we will hear them out equally in balance, and we will let you in the audience make up your own, determination on how you feel on the different issues. I'm not going to judge anybody either way, how they feel about the situation or how they lean either way. I have my own perspective. Mine is based off of the Bible. So if you know what the Bible says, you're going to know kind of more my perspective. But I don't vote, so don't worry about me. You all worry about the people who are actually trying to put in actual legislation and deal with it from there. So I guess we'll start with some of our news stories. What do we have for our headlines, Chris?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's see. What did you bring up? Well, of course, you brought up the nationwide rollout in regards to the vaccine, starting in the U.S. Still not going to take it, but they're obviously trying to sucker people. I think the big thing that I noticed was Canada setting up a vaccine compensation fund, basically saying that if the vaccine, for whatever reason does not work, we'll cover you or whatever. And I'm just for something with like, what do they say? Like Pfizer's got a 95% success rate or something like that.
Yep, 95. They're saying for Pfizer and biotech, it's 95. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. So why would you need that for a 95%? Why would you even need money put towards that for a 95% effective? Why would you need that? So when I saw that, I was just like, it was on there and it was just like a blip on there. And I think somebody brought out like, will America ever do that? And I'm like, I don't think so. So I noticed it was weird to me. They want presidents to take it. They got old ladies, want presidents to take it. They got old ladies taking it, but Canada's.
Well, it showed that.
Did you see any of the footage out of England this week? Because in England they rolled out the vaccine. Some of the images that came out of there were like nuts. Like the second person to take it, his name was William Shakespeare. I mean, that in and of itself is just like funny money to me, right? That's the irony. You literally almost word for word took the words out of my mouth what I was about to talk about.
They played up big that two of them got like an allergic reaction or whatever, and I'm like, it was weird, but I didn't know about the other part. Didn't know about the William Shakespeare part, but that.
I mean, just the fact that they even put that name out there is just like, again, it's more theater. Again, like Marcus said, we all see things a little differently, and that's cool because you need to be challenged on your beliefs so you don't just, put yourself in a bubble like the people that you claim to dislike, right? So, it's good. To me, this all seems like theater. Like, it really feels like I'm in the Matrix, like the name of the show in part. Like the green coding, like when Doze and his brother are sitting at the computer and Neo's like, I need guns, right? Mm-hmm. And he types it in. I feel like that's what I'm looking at right now because everything is just moving along nice, and it's progressing according to plan, really without much hiccup either.
Right.
So,
And you know what? I'm gonna just completely just throw everything off to a whole nother subject, so I can just keep everybody completely off balance. I felt like I'm paying attention. Yes, I am. I know you all see me looking down, but I am paying attention to the discussion. But it's something that I found that was one of the stories which I sent the guys where I was like, you know what? I need to bring up this story so we do not skip it because we have a couple other stories that are COVID related that are going to bring us back. So this story I found from CBS, and this is a local story, CBS LA. Senator Feinstein questions why Vanderbilt not shortlisted for Space Command headquarters. Now, why is it a big deal if somebody gets put on a short list for Space Command? Why is Space Command a big deal? Emmanuel, what do you think?
It's gotta be because they found water on the moon. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I know.
Water, but they need to have a military because there's water on the moon. I mean, that's a lot of money talking about
right. I would
and all that. And I would think if you're going to go to the extent of, because think about it. I'm a veteran. I'm former military. Just the Navy alone, how much money is spent in the Navy? Now you're talking about space, which is bigger than all the seas combined. And now we're going to start some kind of command and some kind of, what are we going to have? Start creating spaceships to fight it. But what are you building up this military? Because you build up militaries for normally one purpose. Well, I guess multiple within this whole house, for defense or for conquering. So either you're trying to build up to protect what you have, or you're trying to build up to take over somebody or take what they have. So that's the only applications I understand for any kind of military. So what would be the purpose for Space Force? What would be the point to start building a military for space?
Wait, it might have if it's about water, then shoot, it must have happened within like the last week or whatever, but water was supposed to move into one of the was supposed to be moved into commoditization rights. Leading up with like gold and silver and the rest of it. So personally, that's my theory that, they're looking to colonize the moon. It's just a wild theory. They're looking to colonize the moon to get the water, right? So,
well, that's what we're here for, wild theories. The only way we can even start coming to figure out what might be going on is we have to talk about all the different possibilities, no matter how far out they be. Because military security professional, part of my job was to think of just every possible scenario for the scenario that you don't see coming. And we need to apply that same kind of logic, I feel, in any of these kind of major things going on.
Okay, so the immediate commoditization of water, supposed water wars within the next 5 to 10 years, you will need, supposedly there's a water crisis, or establish a water crisis. Well, where else were we going to get water? Supposedly there's water in outer space. You will need militarization in space to do it. So that's my theory. If you're asking me what my honest theory is, because
it's either one of two things. It's one of two things, right? It's either they fear some type of threat, or it's just to get the people to start thinking about this so they're not looking at other things, right? Another misdirection play. It can only be one of two things. And also, too, with the military budget being what it is, with their $60 or $70 billion increase, You have to justify that the spending of that cash. So, you tell the people like, hey, you have the Israeli space guy this week, put out the news that, aliens have been in contact with. Look, if we would have said 2 weeks ago that aliens are talking to United States and Israel, they would have been like, yo, these guys are nuts. So the Israeli space guy comes out this week and says just that. Aliens exist and they are in connection, they have communications with the United States and Israel. I mean, why those two, whatever. But anyway,
Well,
so
I mean, to add
all
to
of
that,
it, it's very much in line for 2020 because all year they have been pushing, like they have been revealing, I should say with quotes, they've been revealing that there's UFOs and me again, I'm such a skeptic. It just seems like something else to get people talking about, so they're not looking at really what's happening on the ground.
Yeah.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Just like that clip that we shared from the Hill last week, with Sagar going into with Brian Grimm. They had a HD photo from one of the fighter pilots, and he's saying this is the object that he saw. Now, granted, I've seen numerous ones, and tomorrow on the panel, I plan to show some research and show you some of those which I saw. So make sure to tune in and catch that. But we've seen so much of this stuff going on, especially over the years, and I used to make so much fun of it and Roswell and all this stuff. And now we're getting the military, the Pentagon, and we're getting CNN. We're getting every major, news media taking this as an accredited real story.
There goes the echo.
Seriously before. It used to be taken serious. So I don't know what to say from that. That either maybe they're perpetrating this all of a sudden right now for God knows what reason, or it's actually been true and they were lying all this time, and we need to start believing that. Whether it's aliens, whether it's something else, we need to factor in that it is something that's real that's going on.
I mean, I heard the whole thing about the Galactic Federation and aliens, and I was just like, if you wanted me to buy it, it should have just been, they should have just did it from Saudi Arabia, and where Trump was putting his hands on that stupid globe or that orb or whatever, and all them other Saudis were sitting around touching it, and I was like, if you had tied it to that, you probably would have got me. But just Israel just come, some random old dude from Israel just saying, oh, hey, aliens exist or whatever. I'm just like, you're not getting me to buy it. You're not getting me to buy that. I mean, that's just there's so many more questions than answers.
Well, oh yeah, I forgot. I noticed Variant's in the chat. Hey, Variant, how you doing? She said hello to us earlier, and I want to make sure to acknowledge that. Like I said, we're gonna bounce around a little bit, and we're right back on to some of the COVID information. This is a story I saw out of NBC News. It says Mexico proposes extending non-essential travel restrictions with the U.S. So unless you're going
say that one more time, Marcus.
It says Mexico proposes extending non-essential travel restrictions with the U.S. The measure would be in place until the measures would be in place until just before midnight on January 21st. Under the proposed extension, according to the country's foreign ministry. So, depending on how your COVID status is and things like that, they're looking at COVID restrictions from Americans coming in.
Professor, please, can I get this one, Professor?
Sure, go on ahead.
Again, if we're gonna, okay. Follow the money. How much money does Mexico get with the United States? How reliant are they? What kind of pressure can the United States government put on Mexico to make them react in such ways. So again, for me, when I see these announcements from places like Mexico that are very much reliant upon the United States financially in some sectors, again, I'm very skeptical. Pressures put on them in the rooms that we don't have access to. And that's what it basically boils down to.
No, go on ahead, Emmanuel.
Well, let's see. I didn't actually know anything about it, but I guess who would profit from draconian laws like that? ICE, Border Patrol. Just gotta. I agree with Chris. Like, see where the money's going, and then I think they do like I think America. I'm not sure, but I think America depends on Mexico's manufacturing. No, I don't know. No, that's not my theory. My theory is that money's already passed, and the store, and they're just drumming up, well, what do you call it? They are just drumming up. They are causing a stir. They are causing a stir for the money that was. They were causing the stir for the money that was sent to them already. So
if you look at the countries that are not aligned with World Health Organizations or, the Clinton Global Initiative or the Gates Foundation or anything with Buffett or anything like that, when you look at how they are reacting and what their numbers are, it's nothing like that. Again, you would consider India and China together. They're what, close to 3 billion people, and we're not seeing numbers even remotely close there than what we're seeing here. So are we to believe that they are suppressing their numbers to that extent, or are we inflating ours to a level that will get most people scared? These are just things to consider, right?
Scared enough to take the vaccine, which is what Marcus was theorizing a couple of weeks ago, say, okay, well, you can't come into the country. You can't come into the country until we feel that you're safe. Mexican U.S. borders, they're pretty consistent. They're pretty streaming, and that's my theory about it.
Well, my thing is, I look for that to extend. Other countries start implying some kind of measures like that also, until it gets to a point where every country starts saying, "Hey, you can't get through unless you have some kind of proof." And it might start off with some kind of paperwork or some kind of ID, in which they'll be able to look up through some kind of online database or something, and then there is the possibility that it's going to go to a chip form. That's what I ultimately worry about. And since there are people who are already using chips for various other things, whether it's, I'm just going to have, think about it. How many people have a Fitbit? That's having a chip, which is tracking your movement, monitoring where you're going. And it's not hard to have, bracelets like that. And that could be the first, evolution that everybody gets required to walk around with this bracelet.
It probably, because so many people have been talking about this for so long, right? It probably won't be in this initial, vaccine, even if you go the suggested 2 doses, right? Whatever is next down the pike. See, to me, my crazy brain says that this is the installation of the motherboard or hard drive, if you will. Going forward, then they will be able to send the messages via mRNA. They'll be able to put the programming onto the motherboard, etc., etc. That's going forward, but again, that's just my crazy brain. That's why I look at it.
Yeah, I just look at it. It's going to get to some form of, like, if you think of just the UK in general, even before any of the pandemic stuff, they were already one city which literally washes everybody all the time. the UK is notorious for having more cameras than any other nation, and cameras pointed at you. And the United States and other European countries, they emulate that because they believe if they can have cameras everywhere, then they can stop crime everywhere. And it almost starts to get to, because what happens is when you start thinking about how all these different inventive ways to prevent crime or catch it before it happens and all these different things, you run the dangerous position of getting into like a minority report situation. And as technology keeps advancing, and how they're able to monitor you more with microphones here and there, it's only a matter of time before they start microchipping you just like they do animals to keep track of them. You know, what do you think, fellas? Am I going too far out there on that one? What do you think, Emmanuel?
Well, let's see. We're already starting to see countries be pretty proud of zero cases. New Zealand, Singapore. So it wouldn't be much of a strict. I think Singapore is actually talking about creating specific, I think, hospitals for people. Like if you come into the country, that's where you're technically staying for like the aforementioned quarantine. So it may not be. I think there's something. I think you're right. I think there's something rolling out. It just keeps shifting. So I'm not really sure what's rolling out, but you can definitely see like a country. You can definitely see in like specific countries where they're touting, oh, we don't have any cases, and then they're touting out this new measure that ultimately says, well, we know where you are, we know where you are, we know where you've been, we know where you're housed. We can keep you there.
Real quick, Kelly made a. Let me highlight this one right here, right? Because. Oh, hold on, not this one. Hold on, sorry. This one here. Okay?
Yep.
So, here's the thing. The people who are planning this, they had to plan for that. You know what I'm saying? Because you trap a mouse, there's only so many which ways it can run, right? And they know we bootleg everything, right? So, they're fully aware that there's going to be fake stuff. Now, they'll allow that to happen, right? To say what? Oh, since everybody's walking around and there's this proliferation of fake vaccination cards, right? Now we'll have to digitally implant it in you to make sure that you're not lying about having it. So again, we have to like really be very cautious about the things we do, and you know, we just have to be very cautious. That's all. That's it. Go ahead, guys.
No, you're good. What do you think, Emmanuel?
No, I get it.
On to another topic, because I have another topic which it kind of dovetails right on to some COVID news. Because like I said, we will have more COVID news. I guess I'll mention this one really quickly before we get on to the next story. My mom would be upset with me if I did not bring this one up, but country legend, black country singer, by the way, Charlie Pride, passed away of COVID related symptoms as it's reported. So you know, it's definitely sad. Anybody who passed away, and especially you know, music icons like that have a lot of people who love them and fans who adore them. So you know, I definitely, you know, heart goes out to anybody out there who is really having a hard time with this. On to the next story. This one I'm going ahead and read about this story. Crap. Where did it go? Oh yeah, here it is. Crap, not there. Bear with me.
No, you good.
It keeps popping up the wrong story.
It's all right. We could shoot the shit. You know, the country music singer, you know, they said he died from COVID complications. They always seem to make sure they throw it in there. I thought they kind of threw that in there regarding Zeus or Debo. Rest in peace, Debo. He died this week.
Mhm.
I don't know if the audience is familiar with.
I was expecting another one actually. I was expecting like a third a third famous person to pop up and pass but yeah, you sent me that story and totally was a shot with they said he looked sick, he wasn't feeling he looked sick, he wasn't feeling well on the stream, and he kept saying, "Oh, I'm okay, God's got me."
Mhm. Yeah.
And the thing is, if you see pictures of him, Ice Cube had posted a picture of him and Zeus, right? And they are, Debo. That's how I know him, right? So they posted a picture of him. If you look at his extremities, particularly his legs, you can see he had something wrong with him. They were extremely swollen, right? So he had clear health complications even before that. That's pretty much what sent him on his way, unfortunately. I don't like the COVID tie-in either, because now you're not paying attention to other parts of your health either. So, it's unfortunately.
I guess what I will do is I will give you what I remember from this story. It's not letting me back into it, but I will tell you the title of it. It says "Ski Resort Dining in the Pandemic," and it's basically giving some of the different top dining places to go to during the pandemic for the ultra rich. I just thought that was just an interesting story that we should definitely add in and talk about and reflect on. While we have first line workers and all these people who are concerned and this and that, we have another segment who are worried about where's the best place that they can go and hang out and get a great view and go do some skiing at the same time the pandemic is going on and everybody else is worried.
Correct. To me, it's go ahead, Emmanuel. Sorry, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Give me a second. Go ahead, guys.
Okay. I guess it really extends into that. When they were trying to do that outdoor dining, and they use that plastic bubble stuff so that you could legitimately eat outside. And then someone brought up why don't poor people get that type of that type of technology? I think the ski resort is probably a sign of how the vaccine is going to go. The ultra rich and the super famous will probably tout the fact that they get the vaccine. Tout the fact they get the vaccine first, so that they can go out and say, I don't have to worry about it, so I can go out and ski. I mean, it's all seems convenient. All seems like kind of a show. I mean, like a show for them. It's a show for them, and it's suffering for us. So that's all I had to say about it.
Yeah, which I wonder why we have so many people out there who they see all the corruption which goes on, which we have between politicians, which we have between police officers, which we have throughout our entire system, basically on a global level. And yet, when somebody points out somebody in the ultra rich and say, well, maybe they have malicious intent, maybe they're up to something, maybe they're doing something that's not completely above board, then everybody else who even thinks to question them, we're conspiracy theorists, we're trying to tear down a great man or woman, we're sexist, we're racist, we're whatever ism or is that they decide to throw on you. But it's never questioned what these people actually do, a lot of these people at the top. I mean, some of them literally go into countries, try to push their crackpot ideas, tear apart some of their systems of how things are going to go, are supposed to go or were going, and then just, okay, well, I tried, I had good intentions, and then leave the countries in tatters, but they don't care.
So Marcus, I was referencing your ski resort story here, right? So if you're afraid to eat inside the restaurant at the resort, they build this structure for you and your people so that you can go inside and, you know, enjoy your meal there as if, you know, um, as if you can't get sick there. So again, it's more hip.
Nice.
That's what I'm saying. And it's kind of nice too, right? I mean, you know, if it was just you and maybe a nice lady or something,
it's very nice.
you know, maybe if it's you and a nice lady in there, you have a few drinks, you know, you have a good night. I'm just saying, like, you have to laugh at this stuff. That's all. It's
Right.
crazy.
What date is that?
What date is
the
that?
skip
That's from yesterday.
Okay. If the vaccine's going to come out and like millions of people are going to get it, then why are they still touting out, you know, why are they still touting out places to go?
Exactly.
Or
yep.
why
December 12th.
Right. So, you know, we have to ask that question. So
It's beautiful though. I can't even lie. I want to go. I'll go. I'm not mad.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, and that's the thing. You know, for me though, I just want to make clear, like, I'm not even upset at I'm not upset at that, right? That they're doing that. What makes me upset is that we are walking around believing that we can't do the same thing. That's what upsets me, or frustrates me rather. Because, you know, you jump out the car when you go to these places. If you don't have that damn mask on you, you know, it's always this hesitation. Like, oh, do I? Like I said, I just try to force my luck every time, man. You know, most of the time I get through, sometimes not, but, you know.
Troublemaker.
Very much so. Can't help myself. I'm going to blame that on my mother, though. My father's a loud one, but my mother, she's a quiet troublemaker. So
don't be blaming
you
that
get
on your
this.
mama.
That's your fault.
Don't be blaming that on your mama. Oh, let's see. What's the next story that I wanted to talk about? Let's go into some world news. A lot of times.
Hold on, can we just, Marcus, real quick, since you had a whole bunch, right? Can we just go right into Biden, please?
Yes,
right.
Yes, please.
Sure,
yeah.
we can skip these, and if we have time, we can come back to them. But yeah, we can go into the Biden one. Which one did you want to go into the clip?
I mean, has everyone heard Biden's clip from The Intercept?
Yeah, yes, I've heard it.
Yeah, I think we should definitely cover it though, and for everybody who did not hear it, I think we should play it so it can be fresh in our brains while we talk about it, because there's certain points in there I like to isolate and break down.
Which one did you want to hear? The one that didn't have any video?
No, the one I sent you from Cristo Avalis.
Okay, yeah, I'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I like to. There's a couple of different YouTubers out there which I like the way they'll set up some of their videos. Sometimes they get straight to it, and there's not a whole lot of cutting through. And shout out to Cristo. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he's a Canadian YouTuber, just like David Doore up there. But he does really good work. And in this clip, he kind of he sets it up for us, and I will play that part, and then we will give our commentary instead. It's not going to be too much different than some of the stuff you would hear from Christos. So if you want to hear the rest of the video, I do implore you to check it out. If you could, Chris, could you put the link?
Yeah, I'm about to get it in a second.
Okay, so that way they can be able to check out his channel and be able to see what he said on it. But there's a couple of points which inflections in Biden's voice where I want to break down some of those things. Let me get my
Yo, we should piss people off and play it. Yo, we should piss people off and play it from Fox, so then we could get labeled right wing.
I thought about doing that. The only problem is all the Fox clips.
Yo,
I was going to do that just to tick off some of the people on the left wing, but Fox clips I found.
I mean, we're going to talk about the YouTube thing, right? Since
yes,
I guess it's directly right. Okay.
Yeah, all the Fox clips though they were they didn't play the whole part which I wanted. That's the only reason why I didn't use the Fox.
Yeah, but I do want to. I'm gonna just add it anyway. So hold on 1 second.
Oh boy.
Yeah, just because like, look, like I said last week or the week before, whatever. Like, we got to deal in truth. We can't. You can't play these games anymore. We're at a critical level right now. You know what I'm saying? There's no need to pretend
Well, my
anymore.
only thing is I put out whoever has the most information on it, and they kind of just focused in on the defund the police part without focusing on all of it. I want all of it. Give me all the gravy with the serving.
My question is that there was supposedly more people on the call. What was pushed out? Like, what was pushed out on almost a continuous basis. That Biden said this. Biden said this. Biden said that. I'm like,
in this one, you get to hear him speak. Yeah, in this clip, you will get to hear him say it out of his own mouth.
Yourself and give me advice whether we should do that before January.
Hold on, I'm gonna rewind it. Boom.
Yeah, just go ahead and back it up.
Yep. All right. Here we go. Play. Hold on. Sorry, guys. All right. Ready?
This is being defunded. They've already labeled us as being defund the police. Anything we put forward in terms of the organizational structure to change policing, which I promise you will occur. Promise you. Just think to yourself and give me advice whether we should do that before January 5th, because that's how they beat the living hell out of us across the country, saying that we're talking about defunding the police. We're not. We're talking about holding them accountable.
And January 5th is the day of the Georgia runoff. So Biden is obviously concerned about messaging, Republicans talking about Democrats defunding the police.
All right, go ahead, guys.
All right, yeah. Now, can you show that crystal one? That one, because I wanted the whole thing, because yeah, we could talk about the defund and that's a part of it, but he gets pretty disrespectful with the civil rights leaders in there. That's the part I want to talk about.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, cool. I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, that's the disrespect. I want to talk about some of that, because in all honesty, I thought that the defund, hey, if they decided that's the term they want to use, that's the term they want to use, and they can go with it. Me, from somebody who used to want to go into marketing and started off business administration in college, I wouldn't have advised to go with that slogan, because what I've learned with dealing with Americans is, however you term something, they most of the time just pay attention to the title and don't pay attention to the contents. And so you can just dissuade a whole bunch of people right off the bat just by the way you name something, even if it has, good purpose. And the thing with defund, it's so easy to twist that whole message up. That's the reason why I'm like, I support what they're talking about. It's just, it's murky and it's confusing and it's not clear. So I don't really have too much of a problem with him not liking the term defund the police. But I think it's nonsense to believe that he's actually going to do anything. So that's the reason why I feel like if you named it something different, it puts him in a position where it's a lot harder for him to punch at the name. That's all I'm saying.
well, defund was always supposed to be merely a stopgap to abolish them. You are right. You are defund the police. Supposed to say we're defund police, and we're going to pour it into different forms of dealing with specific situations. Police don't have to be involved. It was more like minimizing the need for the police. But I saw a couple. They're gonna take Minneapolis City Council take away like $8 million. But you're right. That name definitely. Oh well. I have the name,
Well,
and then we can just.
We have to also consider who came up with the term defunding police as well.
Right.
I don't think that was necessarily when I say not necessarily us, but the people on the street who were actually legitimately and wholeheartedly actually trying to make change, not people who are involved with specific organizations, just people within like Ferguson or Brooklyn or LA. Because there's real legitimate activists who do this thing for a living. They're not grifters. Not all of them are grifters, and we should recognize that too. So I don't think no, not that you don't, just in general.
I recognize it too. In fact, I recognize that a lot of them did. A lot of them did not really. A lot of them, from what I had heard, really just said, defund, stopgap to abolishment. That the whole point was that to real activists, the point is to reach a point of abolition. That was really what they were trying to do.
Kelly makes a great point right here.
Right.
True. I agree, but we got to remember what we're dealing with. Who is most of the voting demographic? How old are these people? Think about it. I literally had a conversation with somebody earlier today, and they're basically like, well, yeah, you should do a talk on that. I'm like, I've done talks on that. Other people have done talks on that. We do podcasts on that stuff. When you start dealing with a lot of these older groups, they want everything instant, short, snappy. They don't want to do a lot of thinking about a lot of this stuff. That's the reason why they watch CNN and MSNBC. They want somebody to think for them, make it super, super simple. And what we often do is we give stuff where once you explain it makes perfect sense. But we'll stop and ask that question. Okay, well, what do you mean by defund? And we will, be able to get a clear answer and accept it intellectually honest. But older people, a lot of them don't think that way, and they're very simple-minded. And because they just have so much trust and faith in the system, you gotta make it simple for them. The same way the propaganda networks spoon feed the crap to them also. You almost have to treat them like little kids. You cannot expect for them to understand things on an advanced, I'm talking about top levels of chess playing, dealing with politics. Most of them are at a very, very basic level when it comes to understanding this political system and what goes on, in Washington, D.C. But, let's go on ahead to the clip, and we'll be able to hear more what I'm talking about.
I'm going to be playing you some leaked audio of a Joe Biden and Kamala Harris closed door meeting with Black civil rights leaders, including folks like Al Sharpton. You were not meant to hear this audio. Neither was I. Neither was anyone in the public, which is why it's so important to hear Joe Biden mean what he actually says when he's not expecting to be recorded. And so I want to play you a few examples, and then we're going to come back and break it down a little bit.
This is a completely closed call, so just want to remind you of that. There's no recording.
I'm the first person, black or white, who called attention to the fact that you were finding that there was the rate of people who were African Americans who are dying was 3 times that of white people. I don't carry around a stamp on my head saying progressive and I'm AOC, but I have more of a record of getting things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. There's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what Benita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates when you'd have some of the people you were supporting said, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority. I am not going to violate the Constitution. There is a Constitution. It's our only hope. Our only hope. And the way to deal with it is where I have executive authority, I will use it to undo every single damn thing this guy has done by executive authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's questioned, where I can come along and say, I can do away with assault weapons. There's no executive authority to do any of that. And no one's fought harder to get rid of assault weapons than me. But you can't do it by executive order. If you do that, next guy comes along and says, well, guess what? By executive order, I'm going to say everybody can own machine guns again. So we got to be careful. I know you all know this. I know you know it. I don't think we should make that a big issue going into before January 5th when the election takes place down in Georgia. But I also don't think we should get too far ahead of ourselves on dealing with police reform in that, because they've already labeled us as being defund the police. Anything we put forward in terms of the organizational structure to change policing, which I promise you will occur. Promise you. Just think to yourself and give me advice whether we should do that before January 5th, because that's how they beat the living hell out of us across the country, saying that we're talking about defunding the police. We're not. We're talking about holding them accountable. I just raised it with.
Sorry, guys, I paused it. I just had to get this off real quick. They spent the better part of this year screaming Black Lives Matter. I just want everybody to keep that in mind. I'm gonna hit play again. My bad.
Mhm.
How much do we push between now and January 5th? We need those 2 seats. About.
All right, it's an ad. We got 4 seconds.
This comes from leaked reporting by Ryan Grimm at The Intercept. He obtained this leaked reporting. He obtained it and wrote an article about it. In that article,
Would you say, Marcus?
I said, I guess that's the end. We can stop it there.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I definitely want to point out something. Can I point out something?
Sure.
Can I point out that the fact? Can I point out the fact that he technically won, but this dude is openly saying the Republicans, pretty much, he's proclaiming that the Republic pretty much beat the living hell out of him. Like he's basically framework that I can't do much. It reflects his austerity measures. It reflects sitting in the room with Republicans. It reflects, trying to work with them. So when someone says it was leaked or revealed, I'm just like, that's a huge leap and a jump away from when Hillary Clinton had like that dinner function or whatever, and she put up that noise silencing or noise canceling technology. If they didn't want us to know about it, there wouldn't have been any. I don't feel that there wouldn't have been a leak. So I question the term leaked audio.
Do you know, for me now, how I'm off. I'm left-handed, so maybe that makes me crazy. I don't know. To me, what Biden said, not surprising in the least bit. I'm not offended. I'm not upset. I mean, it's who he is. I didn't expect, not surprised. The sad part is the so-called civil rights activists who were sitting in there and didn't share that audio and didn't come out of that meeting and to tell the people who listen to them and read them and follow them to say, you have no ally, okay? This is an adversary. You should treat them as such. There's none of that. They came out and what they do, basically talk shit about Ryan Grimm for even recording and leaking the information. So as you can see, civil rights, black people, look, again, we got to keep it real. I'm not going to hold no punches. They not your friends either, okay? All them people in that room, because again, you supposed to, if you, with truth and all this other stuff, I know you got to deal with politics, but again, we're at a critical juncture. We're dealing with this corona thing. This is a moment when the government should actually be helping people, especially if you're stopping them from going to work. Food is being destroyed. People got to eat. Schools is messed up. Not messed up, but just closed or half, whatever. There's people really struggling. The government should be that apparatus that should be able to step in and help at a moment like this. But all we can see is bullshit and games. And they wouldn't even reveal that the president-elect has no intentions at all in dealing with anything that you've been talking about for this entire year and all the other years combined. Sorry if I went long.
No. You did a good job. I mean,
No,
I go
you're
along a
fine,
lot.
dude.
So,
You're good.
what were you gonna say, Manuel?
No, my thing is that it shouldn't be. It shouldn't really be much. See, it shouldn't be really that much of a stretch of what he said. Literally, what he said to me. None of it was really all that. None of it was really all that surprising. None of it really shocked me. Literally none of it. I mean, I think he's always just shown. He's always just shown who he was. He's always operated that way. I think the primary function of the leak recording is to say to everybody that, you know, was operating under the theory, oh, Biden's going to get elected, we're going to push Biden left.
Look,
That shit's not happening.
The dual attack of the coronavirus and South Carolina news created the perfect storm in which the media anointed Biden and made it seem as if he was the choice of the Democratic Party constituents or voters, if you will. So they didn't really question anything that happened. And if you were paying attention to any of those primaries, there was funny money business going on there too, just in terms of Biden winning all these.
Voting business, funny money business, you know. They ignore, and even I was gonna bring up the YouTube thing myself. You know, like next month they're basically saying if you question anything about the election, if you put a video questioning the election, if you bring up any established fraud about the election, you are purged, you are gone, you are banned. I mean that is censorship.
And as usual, what happens is they put these things in a political space and they make everyone jump into their particular camp. So I hate Trump. There's no way that they could have cheated. I love Trump. Every single vote for Biden was a lie, right? The truth is somewhere in between that, you know? And the moment you step away from these political circles and these games and these camps, you start to see things very clear, at least from my perspective. And if I'm wrong, please somebody tell me that I'm way off. Not necessarily wrong, but if I'm way off base. To me, again, I'll repeat it again. I think this election was fraudulent. That's my feeling. Now that is my opinion. There's too much funny money business. And you're not telling me that 81 million people voted for Biden and didn't vote for Obama in 2008. That shit is not logical, kid.
And what is that censorship thing? You know, you got a lot of people surprised about the censorship that's ramping up. Mm-hmm. And there were literally people saying, you know, the right are getting censored. There were literally people out there saying the right's getting censored. Yeah, and I was like, what are you going to do when they go to the other end and start canceling all them people too? I'm like, so it's not, you know, you got people legitimately surprised. And I was like, when Alex Jones and all the rest of them and et cetera were being censored for what they were saying, I mean, the signs were right there. You know, people just accepted it because they didn't like what Chris said. They didn't like Trump. Censorship here, I'm cool with that. They didn't like, they hate Trump. You know, I can just ignore, you know, them being banned or being banned or purged or whatever. That's nothing to me. So.
And here's again, hold on real quick, Marcus. Let me ask you guys a question. I'll be quiet after that. Where's Russia? They didn't interfere this time.
Oh yeah, Russia's gone. Russia mystically disappeared. I mean, like nobody, like nothing, like a tumbleweed passed through. It's amazing. What were you gonna say?
Nothing that I can really say that. I think you guys pretty much said everything to be said on that topic. The only thing that I would actually say as a response is to the people who sit in the room with Biden. And if you were able to sit there face to face with this man and he talks to you this way, that's more my issue. And so what I would like to do, I would like to give a response as if I was sitting there listening to Biden say those things. So
Go ahead,
hopefully you
kid.
all bear with me for a moment. I'm gonna move my stuff so I don't start dropping things that get distracted. But this is what I would say to
Watch the sound start cutting out. Sorry.
Oh, you said my sound's cutting out?
I said watch that your sound will probably start cutting out when you start leaning too close to the reality.
This is what I would have to say. First of all, President-elect Biden, you barely won to one of the worst presidential candidates of all time. And then you want to sit there and blame it on some slogan that was the reason why, when you weren't even offering anything for people to come out and vote for you. You can't sit there and expect for everybody to come out and vote for you for your fucking personality. You're not that damn great, and I don't care who you think you are. Another thing is for you to try to have the attitude and the arrogance of what you have done to help Black people with what you have done to hurt Black people. You should take a lot of that bass out of your voice. And every time Joe Biden starts raising his damn voice when talking about what he's done for the Black community, somebody needs to reach across that table and slap the shit out of him. Because he is lucky that this man is not getting hunted down and Black people are trying to attack this man everywhere he goes and protest everywhere he goes. He should be happy that he was able to get that percentage of Black people to come out and vote for him when he has thrown so many of their family members in prison over stupid ass crap, dealing with differentiating, different drugs. When he's sitting up there with a crackhead for a son or a cokehead or whatever, you're gonna sit out there and pass out judgment, and it's obviously racist the way you wrote this bill. And then we go back throughout your history, knowing how a lot of your mentors were segregationists, were some of the most racist people known to be elected in the recent 20th century. And you're going to sit there and try to tell Black people how we all need to just be thankful that you're getting in and you might do something in the first place. You need to say, Joe Biden, you need to have a little bit more humility and understand that you are lucky to be where you are.
But you see, Marcus, everything what you're saying is, legitimate. One, nobody in the room dares say that because then they lose access to that room, and that's what they care about more than anything.
Well, it's a certain time where they need to grow a spine, grow some actual, not even a spine. You know what?
No, you're right. Like I said, they give people a bag. They get a check. They look at their salary, and it's like, am I going to speak the truth or am I going to keep this check?
Well,
unfortunately, we worship money, and that's where we fall.
Let me flip it this way. To every single person of color that you see sit in that room with Joe Biden and allow him to talk that mess, you can take it from me. You can clip this video and say it over and over and over. You're a disgrace, you're a coon, and you're a sellout to your people. If you don't have the nerve, your ancestors, their bodies are sitting up there turning 3,000 RPMs a minute on the disgrace and this Willie Lynch syndrome that you're basically living through, that you're willing to sell out anybody and everybody because you're scared to literally say words to an old racist.
And this is why they cultivated the K-Hive persona on the internet and social media too. Again, it's to give a perception that there's some level of support, some high level of support for this administration based on, Kamala Harris being president. But again, it's all theater, because I don't know too many people in my own circle, much less everybody else I talk to offline, that's like super excited about any of these people. Furthermore, too, isn't it funny? You got to listen in, because they always drop the truth every once in a while, right? I say that to say this. He said, we're getting our asses kicked because of defund the police. How could you ever say that you got your ass kicked when you just got 81 million votes? The party should be in prime position. Like I said weeks ago, I've been saying this blue wave did not flip the Senate and pad numbers in the House. In fact, now Democrats are focused on Emmanuel's state, about the Senate race. Oh, we need to keep the Senate. We need to keep the Senate. Again, shouldn't that blue wave have made this election moot at this point?
It should. I mean, it definitely should have by now. Joe Biden just pisses me off. I mean, it still bothers me the fact of it came down to racists are racist, and everybody's arguing which racist is better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the center state, supposedly like one of them is what do you call it? He said he's touting out like that same old tired Democrat crap like $15 an hour wage, 15 minutes an hour minimum wage. I'm like, people are jumping all over him saying that was a good idea 10 years ago. Why are you bringing it up now? I mean, just all comedy to me, and it's just like, just sit back, get some popcorn, and just have yourself a good old laugh. That's all, man. I'm just,
yeah, it's like I said, it's you just have to think critically, and you can't just be constantly and consistently buying into what you're hearing from sources that you quote unquote trust. You always have to consider the finances behind. You have to look at the money always, because again, that's our number one value. I don't care what anybody says. There's a lot of us that have a number. Most of us do. You will turn on your principles, your family, and everything if you are okay. Not everyone, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people who will do that. And we can see it in the media. Joy Reid, she's one of them. Michael Eric Dyson, he's another one. Again,
Van Jones.
Oh, Van Jones, he's another one. It's all. They just happy to be in the club, and they like to say a couple things to make it seem as if they down. But after a while, when you see their messages and their commentary, everything, it starts to merge perfectly with what the official narratives are on whatever the topic is. So that's why you have to start looking at them very skeptically and just be like, whatever they say, you have to kind of think the opposite, or at least consider it to be the opposite.
Well, funny enough to add to that, I guess I could bring up the story. I don't know, I might or not, but the CAA, there was an article about them recently, and CAA was talking about some of their clients being attacked and different things like that. And most of these people, they're on the list and represented by CAA, which if you don't know, a lot of your top CNN or political journalists, they're on there. A lot of your nighttime talk shows, Late Show, Daily Show with Trevor Noah. A lot of these same people, the Young Turks, Alyssa Milano, all of these people are all being represented by the same people. So
McGowan them out
in mind.
A while ago, and people people just called her ass crazy about CAA, and it's just like there's a nest of thieves there. There's just a lot of trouble there. She was trying to warn him.
Well, I see Chris has it set up now.
You want to set this up, Marcus?
Yeah, I'll go on ahead and set it up. This clip that we're about to show, it's going to cover what we talked about with AOC. There was an interaction that exchange happened between her and pro football player Justin Jackson, and it went back and forth. And then Jimmy Doore, he got involved in it. So this clip is going to break down a little bit of the back and forth, and basically Justin Jackson nailing AOC to the wall. And calling her out and basically drawing a line in the sand for her and her colleagues. And so this clip, he lays it out. I don't think, any better. And the funniest thing about this clip is in there, he tells us that he didn't even think that she was going to respond. And the fact that she does respond and her responses are so horrible, it lays out exactly who AOC is. Now, we're not going to show the whole clip, but we'll show you probably about a good 6 minutes or so. So without further ado, here you go.
Enjoying my black shirt. This is my special black shirt I wear on special days. And this is a special day. We have a special guest with us. We appreciate our next guest making time to come on the show, knowing he's got a big game coming up. He is a Medicare for All activist. He's initiated a revealing conversation with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Twitter, and he is the top running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. We're happy to welcome Justin Jackson to the program. Welcome.
Appreciate it, Jimmy. Thanks.
All right. Now, what made you an activist for Medicare for All? What life experiences inspired you to get into this fight?
My mom actually died when I was younger from breast cancer. And obviously at the time, I didn't really realize how big of an impact that had on my family, not only obviously emotionally, but financially as well, until I got older. And I talked to, my older siblings and my dad about it. And if it had went on any longer, it probably would have bankrupted our family. And my mom, as she was about to leave her kids and her husband, was worried about having to get treatment for extra months because it would have bankrupted our family. And just thinking about living in a system like that, it's really unconscionable. So at this time, when there's a pandemic going on and millions of people are losing their homes and people are losing their jobs, which for some reason we tied healthcare to jobs, which is also inhumane. At that same time, people are having to worry about their healthcare, and it doesn't make sense. And you have these politicians who are saying that they're supporting us in this fight, but then when we actually come up with a strategy to do it, now it's, I can't do that particular thing because that thing, we might not get a vote in the future, even though we're not getting a vote now. It just doesn't make any sense. And so that's why I think we need to be pressuring, like you said, pressuring these politicians, because what other time than now? What other time than now? This is the if you can't get it now, you're never going to get it. There's a pandemic raging right now.
I couldn't agree more. And you know who else actually does agree with us? And I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show your interaction on Twitter. But first, I want to show this short little 20-second video. Guess who agrees with us? Well, former AOC agrees with us.
What the Bronx and Queens needs is Medicare for all, tuition-free public college, a federal jobs guarantee, and criminal justice reform. We can do it now. It doesn't take 100 years to do this. It takes political courage.
So when she wanted your vote, she was saying, we can do this now, right? We can do this now. And why? Because every other country has done this now, except for the United States. 14 million people have lost their health care since the pandemic started. That's the only country that this happens in, is the United States. Even third world countries, Rwanda, everybody has health care for all now. Everybody has it, okay? And she said the time is now when she wanted your vote, and all it takes is political courage. And then she tweeted this out. She says the whole point of protesting is making people uncomfortable. Activists take that discomfort with the status quo and advocate for concrete policy changes. Popular support often starts small and then grows. To folks who complain protest demands make others uncomfortable, that's the point. And so I let her know it's time for you to make Nancy Pelosi uncomfortable and demand she bring Medicare for all up for a vote, or you will make her uncomfortable by withholding your vote for her as speaker. If you do that, you get a Medicare for all vote. Now is the time. Stop being a Twitter warrior and do this. So
hold on, guys. Let's pause it there so we can get into something real quick.
Okay. Now I want to give the background. I don't know what it is or what bee got in their bonnet or whatever about Jimmy Doore, but establishment Democrats have been having a field day on that for saying stuff like for a while, and it really kind of went up in a huge way when when Biden won, and ironically enough, he called her before Justin. He called her out before Jackson. He called her out before Jackson did. And Jackson got in and AOC responded to him, and then that started an argument because I watched it happen. I think this happened like today because I was there. It happened, and someone even brought up it's curious that the AOC completely ignored Doore, right? Completely ignored what he was doing, and just kind of leaned in on Justin. And I've seen tweet beforehand. He's pretty he's solid in that regard. So the question really is like all of it comes a little to me because every single time Doore opens his mouth, they don't like him. They don't like what it's like he touched the nerve, and he just got all the establishment Democrats really just being and really upset because there's just a lot I question here. There's so many questions. So that's all I really wanted to say there.
Well, again, you only see this when you start moving away from the messaging that the party wants you to parrot. You see this when you gain a large enough platform and enough people are listening to you so that they, at the minimum, start to ask questions. So now you're seeing the attack on Jimmy Doore only because he's starting to say what, again, those of us with sense and, vision have been saying for a long time. Nancy Pelosi's been garbage for a long time. Same goes for everybody's favorite auntie. What's her name? Maxine Waters. Garbage. All these people, and we have worshipped them in our different circles long enough. It's about time that you start looking at alternatives, and again, completely outside of the usual suspects, shall we say. So I'm gonna just go back to the video and press play, let him finish.
This message, Justin, and you tweeted this out. You said if AOC and the squad don't do what Jimmy Doore has suggested and withhold their vote for Pelosi for speakership unless Medicare for All gets brought to the floor for a vote, they will be revealing themselves that power concedes nothing without a demand. Now let me show people how she responded to you. She said, the problem with this idea is that there isn't enough thought given to step two. The Democratic votes aren't there yet. And with a razor thin margin the Dems' no's are a greater margin. So you issue threats, hold your vote and lose, then what? If you want to know who's opposed, look at the co-sponsor list. So that's gaslighting. So that's her trying to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, because that's all transparent bullshit. Justin knows it, I know it, and everybody else on Twitter knew it. And I said she's gaslighting us. This is politics 101. Demand something for your vote. The Blue Dogs did this last time and Pelosi caved. Only reason AOC won't do this is because she's a careerist who won't ever cross party leaders. I can't believe she would even try an excuse this lame. So let me just say what you said back, because she says the votes aren't there. And you say to her, well, why aren't they there? The people of the party are there. It's not acceptable leadership isn't there. It's not acceptable that the leadership isn't there if 90% of the party wants it. If they have no threat of not staying in leadership, what's the point? Pelosi was speaker for 2 years with no Medicare for All vote. What is your plan to force her to get that vote? She doesn't have a plan to get that vote, Justin. You know that. And then you say one more thing. You say, would love for Democrats to be on the record denying their constituents health care during a pandemic. Sounds like a good politics for the progressive movement and our goals. And you're 1,000% right about that. That's exactly what this is for. I want to see who's going to vote against health care in the middle of a pandemic. That's what I want to see. I don't think they have that kind of balls. I think that this would pass. Who the fuck is going to do that? I'm going to tell you, nobody. Here's what she says back to you. She says, why aren't they there is the real question.
Yeah, it was
All right,
just
that's
asking.
good.
Yeah, we're asking that
That's what
question.
we're
She's
talking about.
yeah. We watched the presidential debates and saw how many fiercely defend our for-profit insurance. That's got nothing to do with this. Then she says, but no.
Yeah, Marcus, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I think he said that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. That gets the gist of it. I mean, they can check out the rest of it later, but it gets to that point. She's deflecting and deflecting and deflecting and using excuses, and it's like what Justin said in there. What other time is more of a time than now to stand up? And if you're not going to stand up now, when the hell are you ever going to stand up? I mean, what's the point? And this is the argument which I've had with some of the other people in the lefty community. They keep trying to give AOC this oh well, you know, AOC, she's doing this, and you got to kind of pick your battles and bullshit. This is the battle. There's no other front. I mean, if you're not going to do anything now, we don't fucking need you. I'm sorry.
Again, she got brought into the house. She wanted to burn it down, right? She went into the house with the intentions of burning it down.
Now
Right, city burning it down, all that.
They brought her into the house. She looked around and was like, damn, it's nice in here. I don't know if I want to burn it down. Maybe we could put a fireplace in the corner, right?
Yeah, that's it now.
So that was her idea of burning it down.
Wait, remember she walked in off of a bartender job. She rolled in the Washington. Didn't have a doctor.
She's from the district where, you know, all my family lives, you know, where I came up, you know, so if I was still in New York, she would be my representative. With that being said, though, I'm not going to put too much on her. They're one of the things I don't like is that they're making her out to be this major player. I get she's popular in certain circles, but speaking of power, she doesn't have it.
Right. AOC is I feel like AOC is a scapegoat. If AOC is a scapegoat. She is the release valve for everyone upset with the Democrats right now. She is the punching bag to take, you know, people's frustrations about the ineffectiveness of the Democratic Party, right? Of the Democratic Party, right now. I mean, it's classic triangulation. You got someone pointing out exactly what's wrong with you. The entire establishment is like, we got a problem with you. Then you deflect. I mean, even that where she spoke to Justin, but she doesn't speak to Doore, even though Justin was speaking to Doore. Even though speaking off of what Doore was saying, that's classic triangulation right there. That's classic. She was deflecting. It's a deflection upon a deflection. It was something. So, but I saw that.
I also want to say, you know, with the Medicare for All argument now, this is going to sound blasphemous in a lot of circles. I don't even think that's even an argument we need to be having right now, especially with COVID, okay? Because here's the thing, under Medicare for All, let's just say if the vast majority of people are dependent upon that system for their health care, given that you and a whole bunch of other people don't want to take the vaccine, imagine if it was Medicare for All, you need to go take care for a physical, you need to go get checked out for a job or what have you, you're not feeling good. So, you know, they really could force some on you that you may not want. I do believe that we do need a system to deliver health care, not so much health insurance. So I think at this point, what we need to start doing is talking to some of the doctors, getting them to move into the community and figuring out how they can get paid to treat you and the certain ailments. And again, you have to start looking at different forms of treatment, okay? The entire structure, you're not going to be able to change the structure. Even if we do Medicare for All, the benefits to us, I really don't know. Because again, something happens to you, they're overprescribing all kind of medication that really isn't good for you when they could really be prescribing other things that will have a much better benefit to you. So there's other part of this, there's other component of this that we do need to, you know, keep in mind as well when we scream Medicare for All. Sorry, guys.
Look, when they were talking about Medicare for All, that's not the I didn't really feel that that was the issue, because at the end of the day, of course, they're not going, they're not going to let it pass. You got a bunch of people screaming, she's gonna lose her seat. A bunch of people screaming, AOC's gonna lose her seat. AOC's gonna have this and that happen. I was like, AOC's gonna be fine. I don't think any of that's going to happen. Really, just people are
Again,
upset.
that's not her. Trust me, she's okay there.
Right. I was like, everybody's saying like, oh, it's to cancel her or whatever. It's silly. I said, you're right. It is silly. It's silly to think that AOC's like in any real trouble because of what happened. No, she played the party line. She played the party line. She played her role. Right. It was all, it was all comedy. It was just the best acting I'd ever seen in a really.
But I don't want to criticize her, because I do think on some level she is legitimately cares. But again, she's playing a game that's way above her level, and they're trying to make her seem as if she's the leader of some kind of movement when she's not. So again, they're making her out to be more than what she is. I'm sure she's trying, but also too, while we're talking about members of the squad, they completely ignored Ilhan Omar this week. You didn't see that story on Twitter much. You didn't see it on MSNBC. You didn't see it on anything. Her husband, again, we talking about PPP loans, people struggling, etc., etc. Ilhan Omar, her husband, received all this money. Not a mention of it this week. So again, you have to just look at a lot of these people and just wonder, like, you're okay, and just say you're okay with corruption as long as it comes from your side. It's essentially what it boils down to.
What, Newsom, Omar, right? Sitting, basically getting money, and I'm just like, the picture is so much bigger. The picture is so much bigger than that. If they wanted to ignore, if the media wants to, let's just put it like this: if the media wants to ignore you, they can. They will. Media wants to silence you and not have you say anything, they will. It's just all proper. You have to take it all with a grain of salt at this point and never stop questioning. I mean, that's.
Look, let me just read. According to public records, E Street Group, which is co-owned by Omar's husband, Tim Minette, received nearly $135,000 in paycheck, PPP loans, and $500,000 in economic injury disaster loans. Again, that's $600,000. We go down the list, and then if you read deeper into the story, he was also given some campaign money too. So they're washing money on their end as well. Not a single mention of it. That's why the left, I see them worshiping these people, and I'm just like, if you're supposed to be on the left, you're supposed to always be critical of power, right? You can get behind movements, but you're always supposed to be critical of power because it corrupts. So you're always supposed to watch it. It's like a baby in the crib. You got to pay attention, or water boiling. You got to go back and check on it, right? So they don't do any of that. They just fanboy and fangirl, and it's to their own detriment. Again, it's not my battle. I just be watching, looking, and talking my shit.
Well, right there, you just brought up, something that they don't want to talk about with Ilhan Omar. Then we saw during the primaries when I'm trying to remember, I can't remember her name, but the one who sided with Warren. You know what I'm talking about?
With who? Sided with who?
Yeah,
the squad that
I know who you're talking about, but is it Talib?
No, she shaved her head.
Ayanna Pressley.
Ayanna Pressley.
Ayanna Pressley. Okay, now we saw with Ayanna Pressley how she automatically was taking the bait to go with Warren. So we have Ilhan Omar there. People have been questioning AOC. We saw her dump her staff and all that. And so what I think their goal is, bear with me on the conspiracy for a while, and let me know if you all feel, that I've went too far out there. What I believe is that this whole talk about AOC challenging Chuck Schumer is talk. Basically, by AOC backing down, this is her reward down the road. And to kind of keep that cover going, she has to look like, oh, she's fighting Chuck Schumer. Where Chuck Schumer more than likely has already agreed that he's about to step down and retire anyway. And so what he'll do is he'll go out there, possibly lose, or possibly just, oh, I'm going to step away. And then AOC wins miraculously. And it looks like, oh, well, now we got a fighter. Now we got, a fighter in the Senate with AOC, and she's going to be there with Bernie. And it's a hustle. It's a complete hustle. That's her being paid off for her mama bear ass kissing.
Schumer getting there's some kind of hustle there. Schumer is always tied into some.
If you know
someone's getting paid off. Someone's getting paid
New York politics, you know Chuck Schumer, you know who backs him. Even if she were to mount a challenge and have Sylvester Stallone come out with the Rocky.
What was your question?
Hey, Chris, hold on 1 second. Hey, Emmanuel, can you try coming out and then coming back in? Your audio is kind of like echoing you.
No, and that's the thing with y'all. You guys I can really hear like every other word y'all are saying. Every other word, every single word, like third word, I hear from either of you. So I can definitely. Just give me a minute.
I want to see if that'll help because I keep hearing him like echoed. I was wondering, everybody in the could you all hear him echoed also, or could you hear him clearly, or maybe I'm just tripping?
No, I think he was echoing.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I know when we come into this last segment, this is going to be, I'm going to kind of hand this off to you, you two wolves, and let you tackle this last story that we're about to go into.
Okay, which one?
Well, we'll wait till Emmanuel comes back in.
Okay. See, now Marcus is freezing. Marcus is freezing up. You are, and you're not. Marcus is completely frozen. Right, like I can see Chris moving around, but I can't see Marcus moving.
I mean, I can hear you much better.
Right.
Yeah, I can hear you much better.
Right, but now you're moving slower than Chris. Let's put it like that. If Chris moved, by the time Chris moved from one side of the screen to the other, you would barely be moving in the time he moved. So, and I had noticed.
I'm hardwired in. I'm not doing it wireless. I'm hardwired.
Okay, that's probably why.
All right. I guess we do have a bunch of stories we could talk about, but before it gets too long, I did want to bring up this very, very controversial story that came out. Obviously, we know that Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is not afraid of controversy, and she has produced a bill recently, and it's kind of divided a lot of people on the left. It seems that our two co-hosts here, they kind of have a little bit differing perspectives on the bill. So I will have Chris I'll have Chris give his take on it, and then I'll have Emmanuel give his take on the bill and your perspectives on it, what you both think about it.
So I'll say I didn't read I'll admit I didn't read the bill yet, right? But from what I've seen, it seemed the title there seems to fit essentially what it says. I'm not that familiar with the trans movements, right? I mean, I'm familiar with their movement, right? But I'm not so much familiar with their movement to be included into spaces such as sports, especially like high school elementary school, etc. But I think this is more like high school, maybe college, not so much professional, right? I know it seems as if there's a claim that says, if they've been taking the hormones, etc., and all of the things they need to do to change themselves into, in this case, females, that they should be allowed to participate in these athletic programs. Some women are saying that's not fair. We're born different. You were born a man, although you may have made changes to yourself. You still have an advantage in these particular fields or areas, if you will. I didn't think that was so harsh. I didn't think it was that exclusionary. But again, I'm not up to date with everything that goes on in that particular world. And that's why I'll let Emmanuel jump in.
Okay. And I want to be absolutely clear as I say this because I don't want there to be any actual confusion. I have not read the title. I have not read the Title IX protections either. As a straight cis man, I do have a problem with it in regards to the fact that I am partly aware of how many problems trans individuals have had in regards to being acknowledged for the gender that they have chosen and to be established as such in regards to sport. It's been a long, horrifyingly difficult road. This is Congresswoman Gabbard was on her way out. It was just honestly really just a bad way to pretty much end her career. At the end of the day, it's just we should not have an opinion in regards to this. I mean, if we have a problem with it, then that's really what it is, our problem. But I believe that if a trans person identifies herself as female, they should get a chance to play. That there's just, it's the 21st century. Our opinion is our opinion. That should not be an involvement into the ways of the law. It's just she's getting a lot of backlash about it, and justifiably so. That
Emmanuel, can you see that passage that I highlighted there? Do you need me to blow it up more?
Yeah, I see it. If passed, the new bill would make it a violation for institutions that receive federal funding to permit a person whose biological sex at birth is male to participate in an athletic program that is designed for women or girls. They've been having, I know enough to know that the trans community has been having that problem for a while now, to be accepted and acknowledged for the gender that they have chosen. So
here, I'm gonna you know what? Okay. I'm gonna ask some questions, and I will warn the audience that they might not necessarily agree with my take, but it's my program, so I don't really give a shit. And I'm just gonna say my opinions. The worst you all can do is get pissed off at me. Let's ask this question: can I decide to be white? Emmanuel, can I decide to be white?
no, you can't decide to be white. I mean, no matter how much people all think you can.
If I can't decide to be white, then why can I decide to be a giraffe and say everybody's going to accept me as being a giraffe? The problem is we've gotten into society that people's feelings are more important than facts. If you were born a male, there are biological things that separate you from being a female. And I'm talking about more than just after you snip off your private parts. There's a certain different amount of testosterone which is in your body. There's different chemical balances. If Shaquille O'Neal decides he wants to be a woman, should he be able to go to the WNBA? I got another question. If Floyd Mayweather decides he wants to be a woman, should he be able to go into female MMA and start fighting? These are things that we're not asking and thinking about when these are very, very common sense questions. Now, if you decide that you want to identify as whatever, when it gets to somebody harming you or stopping you from a job or things like that, I get it. But when you're talking about something which can harm somebody, you're talking about something that can actually harm people, and we're making this determination all on people's feelings. If I decided that I wanted to be, if I decided that I wanted to go trans, and I got into track and field, I was a track and field runner, and my times, even probably still now, I probably could still blow Olympic track women out of the water. Is that fair for me to just go and do that? It's not fair. And what they're focused on is, it's not fair for me, but what about these women? That's not fair for them either. Now, if things that I decide to do in my life, there's going to be some things I can do, some things I can't do. All of us are going to have some things that we can do and can't do. Now, for a hand, for what, like I said, I'm going to probably piss some people off. And like 5% of the population wants to tell the 95% of the population, you need to accept my thinking and my perspective on everything. Doesn't that seem like there's an issue with that? I'm watching people who are putting all these different pronouns, and they're focusing on, I got all pissed off because somebody called me a him and I'm a her, or they called me she and I'm a they. Like I said on Twitter the other day, we have black males that are being shot down unarmed every 28 hours. And then we got people who are spending more steam worried about how somebody possibly addressed them. Now, at some point, we got to stop this bullshit. And people are like, well, we got to worry about this and we got to worry about that. And somebody came back to me saying, well, we got to worry about black trans lives. How about this? Just worry about black lives first. Why does it always got to be put in the sexuality and all this other crap? That is not what's important. You're projecting your sexuality into everything when it's not even asked for or needed most of the time. I'm not running around asking people, are you gay first? Are you this? Are you that? Before I decide how we're going to deal with things. But what you're doing is you're telling everybody, this is my sex. Hey, everybody look at me, this and that. And then we're going to deal from there. I'm watching people in the community. Like, I remember what happened with the whole Joe Rogan thing. Everybody flipped their lid about Joe Rogan when that's somebody who could actually help Bernie get in office and get things which would have actually helped people. Real things that could help people. And then we get it all pissed away because some people get their feelings hurt. You think your feelings trump actual people's well-being. To me, what that tells me is you're selfish and you don't really actually care about people if you're going to put your emotions over people's actual well-being and need. We have people out there being thrown out homeless, no health care and all that, because you're worried that somebody might take away some kind of right of yours. That they might do it, that they're not even going to do it. Because think about it this way. Out of all those Democratic candidates, not one single one of them was going to roll back any legislation against the LGBT community. Not
a single one. Not a chance. Not a chance.
So So to even take that argument, most of these people did. Well, I don't know about Tulsi because 15 years ago she said this comment. You're completely dividing up this whole left community off of what you think might possibly happen, and you're screwing over a whole lot of us in the process. And it's about time some of you people stop being so damn selfish and focusing on what you're worried about, on your feelings.
Well,
and
you know what
what's going on.
too? It distracts completely from an economic argument or any kind of message about
That's what I
economics,
care
right?
about. I don't care about anybody's personal crap. Your personal crap is your personal crap, and most people are not infringing on it. In fact, I do remember gay marriage being legalized, and I know in the military they're giving out, you're able to get whatever biological
benefits.
So you're getting all those things. Why the hell are you sitting up there? What else aren't you getting? I look at my community, especially under Obama, our wealth dropped. The amount of us who don't graduate from high school continuously goes down. The amount of us who keep going into prison keeps going up. But where we need to focus our energy on is if somebody's using they, him, she, that's what you guys are all concerned about. That's what tells me that you guys are the fucking problem.
I understand your perspective, Marcus. I do. Let me ask you a question. You were talking about the concept of Black Lives. Would you feel comfortable that, that 3 white dudes were talking about the concept of Black people, talking about the problems of Black people, where if 3 people were sitting on, if 3 people were sitting
talking
on
about
here,
it accurately and fairly, I don't care who's talking about it, because a lot of the information which I research, which talks about many of things, it has different people. It's about factual information. It's like somebody try to make the argument, oh well, all of nature, majority of nature is non-binary. When I'm sitting there, I can prove that within science, even in the plants where it has the most amount of non-binary, it's only like 7% even in plants. So you're sitting up there trying to tell the whole world, majority of everybody, that you are more important than everybody else. Because what I'm telling you, because I sat there, think about it. Let's go back to 1981. What was the society like for somebody who identified with the gay community?
It was tough. It was very hard.
It was very hard.
Flying around
What is it now?
Total opposite.
Total opposite. Now let's go to Blacks, Latinos, and most people in the poor neighborhoods. Let's go to Native Americans. What was it like in 81 for them?
Shitty as hell.
And what is it now? It's still
shitty as hell.
And what I'm trying to point out is the very people who keep sitting up there deciding, no, this is what we need to focus on, and this is what we need to cancel people on, and all this crap. These people are basically leaving our concerns by the wayside repeatedly, and everybody is still on these social arguments, and it's keeping us away from getting anywhere on economic change.
It is on the left. There is a big piece of the community, especially online, that tends to focus on this social issue, and it's not only there in the community; it is also their allies, and they tend to make it, in my eyes, bigger than what it is. I'll reference the actress Ellen Page, who is now going by Elliot Page, in the statement that he made in coming out, or she made, whatever. I'm not even sure what to say, but anyway, in the statement, it was almost 40 some odd trans people had been, harmed. While that is very unfortunate, you never want to hear about people being hurt, especially for that. One, we don't know the circumstances of those situations at all. Again, that's not a justification for what happens. All I'm saying is we don't know. So we cannot jump to conclusions and say that each one of those people that were killed happened because of their sexual status or their desire to change their sex. If we see that data that explicitly says that, then of course we do know that people do hurt trans people at times, right? Again, these are very situational instances that we're talking about, so we can't jump off the ledge and make this the biggest issue inside of on the left, if you will. Just like on the right, complaining about, their silly shit.
To me, what I was gonna say is it's almost coming across as like we have to get it to a point for in the LGBT community that there is absolutely no hatred, no bigotry, no violence at all happening to any of them, and then we can start focusing on helping Black people and the rest of the other people. That's what it seems like and feels like if you look at the actions. I mean, whenever it comes to, and if you look at anytime we're trying to set up a group or party, that's what happens. We get these, tenements, 15, 20 different things that, okay, the party is going to be based on this. And then what happens? When we go to the negotiating table, what happens is, not going to touch this, not going to touch this, not going to touch this. And then certain issues only get taken care of over and over and over and over. And at a certain point, you got to be like, you know what? If I keep getting taken care of and my buddy over here, they're never taking care of him, why don't I just step back for a minute and let my buddy go up and he can be taken care of? But no, the mindset is, well, I'm sorry it didn't happen this time. We'll keep fighting next time. It's running. I mean, and I'm watching everybody throughout the pandemic. They're going through all of these different issues. Now, what do you think is happening for the community, which has been on the bottom the whole time? If you guys in the middle class or who have been in middle class and have started slipping into where we are, what the hell do you think it's like for us at this point? We spend too much time worrying about social issues and not focusing on the economic issues that are strangling this country. And if you focus on the economic issues, you can start dealing with some of the other stuff. But until you got people, you still got people sleeping on the streets and no health care and all this crap like that.
Wait, which is what
Marcus, let Emmanuel, let E get in there.
Wait, which is what I agree with. I agree with that. I'm just, us three are not the people to be speaking on behalf of anything doing with the LGBT community. We should have.
I'll put it this way, I'll bring any of them on here. They can come on my show, whatever. I'm gonna say the same damn thing. So it's
I understand that at the end of the day, but it just seems more like a distraction to push people's buttons. Like people were mad about Brandon Barnes. I think I got his name right. Brandon Barnes getting executed just this week, right? No one is worried about the economic concerns that Black people were going through. No one is worried about the other Black people who were falsely incarcerated or the incarceration system as a whole. When I talk about trans life, I'm not saying that we should put them above or below anybody. I am saying that should not be an issue where we have any say at all. There are other problems, and that we should put more effort into hearing what they have to say and acknowledging that before that bill was passed.
All right. Well, okay. Hold on. Let me ask this question, right? Because we're all online. We all exist online, the audience as well, right?
Right.
We constantly can see comments. Men are trash. Men are shitty. Men are ass. Straight men ass. Who needs straight men? Cis men. I don't even know what cis. I don't even know what that means. But cis men are this. It's okay to say that publicly, and we have to eat that, right? It's cool. Freedom of speech. You can say what you want. But the issue I have is that when you are not in lockstep agreement with everything that they want to do, you get tarred. They come to you. It's not necessarily like, to me personally, I don't care. I really don't. But at the same time, I don't think that a boy who is 12 or 13 years old who decides, whose parents allow him to become a girl, should be playing with the girls' soccer team. I don't think that's a discriminatory like thing. I just don't think that.
No, I mean, I guess my last comment that I'll say is that I get what you're saying, Emmanuel, but I look at it like this. It's not just like, oh, it's being brought up and this is being taken care of, and that's been taken care of, and this is being taken care of. It seems like whenever these types of issues or stories get brought up, it becomes the main focus. And it seems like everybody drops everything they're doing and they work to find a solution for this. But for everything else, there's no solution. It's just a lot of talk. And I guess I've just been fed up with all the talk. And it's like,
No, I get that. I totally understand.
I'm fed up with all the talk because my community is getting further and further behind and getting crushed. And nobody gives a damn. That's how I feel, because if you keep telling me, oh, well, I'm your ally, and every time none of our issues are getting fixed, but we all get crucified if nobody wants, if everybody's not worrying about your issue, when your issues are getting fixed, that's not fair. It's almost like a relationship. One person's allowed to cheat and the other person's not. They're getting their satisfaction, but we're not. That's what I'm saying. Until it starts getting taken care of, then some of these issues are not, we have to prioritize things. And if you got one person over here who is literally getting stomped out and this other person is getting yelled at, you go take care of the person who's being stomped out first. And then we can get back to the person who's being yelled at. That's what I'm saying.
Well, with Tulsi has spent her last moments I guess as a representative to push for legislation that helped us. Sure, I honestly agree that she shouldn't have spent her last waking moments focusing on that issue. It's just she was not the person to bring that up. We are not the people to bring that up. This is not.
Well,
this
but
is not
like
something.
If we're
But
not,
I mean, isn't it kind of like there's there were white people in government during the civil rights era, right? They weren't necessarily the people speak on it, but they're the ones who had to actually make, laws and make votes. I mean, we're all in this together, right? I don't think that they should be hunted, abused, or there should be any kind of exclusions in law for them to be hurt or whatever, right? But I don't think that we should be sitting here making any special provisions for them either, considering that we've up ourselves and a lot of people in general. So when people are screaming Black Lives Matter, how are they not included in that? To now we have to carve out Black Trans Lives Matter, right? Or the LGBT community matters. I don't think the Black community has changed, right? I remember back in the day, you could say certain words and you could act certain ways towards that community and it was okay. You could be very ignorant towards people and it was okay. Now it's totally different, because everybody's a family member, a cousin, a friend of a friend, somebody who loves somebody. But I think in the media space online and in certain regular thing, I think they're just overhyping the importance. Because again, if we're talking about that, what are we not talking about?
No, I mean, I get the Black Lives, and I even get, the media and the government and the corporations picking up the aspect of Black Lives Matter. I mean, they picking them up, but they weren't calling, you had people, you had corporations and stuff picking up that moniker and still giving money to, and still giving the same money to the police that were, tear gassing and messing with the protesters and everything. I mean, any message can be taken and co-opted to that level to cause division and resentment and divisiveness and bring up horrifying and bring up feelings and bring up feelings and resentments and stuff and distract people. That's all it was.
I guess back on the story. I guess one thing that I'll say, I guess the kind of my last kind of statement on it is the reason why I felt it was nothing wrong with her bringing up that bill is because if she felt like she was genuinely protecting women's lives versus how a lot of the people they it's I'm telling you you could see me as wrong for this, but I look at this is more of an emotional fight. This isn't something that if you say a transgender woman can't be in boxing, then that's some kind of horrible atrocity. What I'm saying is you put a transgender woman in boxing, just like I believe it was Variant brought up or Kelly that almost actually killed a woman. People are not factoring this in. They're just all focused on, well, you're being unfair to them. And you can actually get somebody killed. This is not. And so if a woman is writing a bill thinking about, well, crap, I'm an in shape woman. I wouldn't want to be in there fighting somebody who biologically still has testosterone that makes them physically stronger. That's like saying, would you want to fight somebody who gets to use steroids and you don't? I mean, I don't see her as wrong for the bill. That's why I had to feel. That's why I feel like I needed to weigh in on it because I don't feel she was at all wrong. Now, if me as a man decided to write that, that would be a little bit kind of out of place because who am I to decide? But a woman definitely should be able to respond in that kind of issue.
Emmanuel, did you see the comment when they said transgender women are biological women, period?
Yeah, I saw not the comment here. I didn't see the comment here, but I have seen that the explanation behind it is that their brains are a transgender person's brain is biologically similar to the gender that they're associating themselves with. So,
Which that to me is at what point did we differentiate that brains? You could tell the sexes of brains by looking at them. I don't remember when that science even came out.
I
mean, it's just it's a very sensitive issue. It's not, something that we should really spend a whole bunch of time on, because it does make people feel a certain.
We can wrap it up. I think we've kind of.
That's fine. We can wrap it up.
We need to go on that one. Do we have anything else we want to talk about?
Other than that, no. Everything is good. Weather's nice here. The vaccine rollout, I just want to, always I got to touch on it. The vaccine rollout probably begins sometime this week. So, we'll start to see images that pop up. Maybe if since England did William Shakespeare, maybe the second person here to get the vaccine will be Paul Revere. You know what I'm saying? So, we, we got to just keep an eye out for that. So, I would just urge everyone to be safe and just keep an eye on your news. Don't fall for propaganda and, be good. What's everyone's favorite Christmas movie?
No, that's
I can't name one. I gotta name a couple, so I'll let you go first.
I like the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I always get a good laugh out of that one. And then of course, I guess because I did it every Christmas, and TBS did it, A Christmas Story, where they play like a Christmas story, like 24 hour, play like a Christmas story like the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are my.
I don't have a favorite. I guess Home Alone. My son was watching it. Yeah, Home Alone.
I knew you'd pick up.
Well, I mean, that's perfect. I guess Emmanuel named a couple. You named one, and I guess I could name a couple more, kind of like round out a top 5, top 6. Mine, not in any particular order, would be Jingle All the Way, Bad Santa,
Oh, Bad Santa. Yes, my favorite. I
Oh
forgot.
my
Thank you. Yes.
Let's see. Die Hard.
You know, there were people
Oh.
arguing about whether or not that was a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what nobody say. To me, it's a Christmas movie. So
It was like a huge argument. I think it was. Can't remember when it was, but people were literally arguing like, "It's Die Hard, the first Die Hard. It's Die Hard a Christmas movie, not?" And
They do it every year because in the movie it was Christmas time.
Right.
and I'm willing to vigorously debate that one.
No, I agree with that one. I
Oh.
really think it's a Christmas film.
It's one other one that I can't remember right now that I recently, I think I saw maybe a couple of years back that I think it's hilarious. It's Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie, and I can't remember.
I know what you're talking about. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and they're like three friends who like spend like every Christmas or Christmas Eve together or something like that.
Yes, that's the one.
I don't
I can't
remember
remember
the name
of it,
but I know
but that one is honorable mention there.
Right.
All right. Well,
I should remember.
we said Chris has never seen A Wonderful Life. Oh wow, that's funny. Oh, let's.
I've never seen
It was
Grease.
not supposed to be, but
I've never seen Grease. There's a couple movies that I've never really truly
You
like.
ain't missing anything. You're not missing anything. Missing Grease.
I ain't watched that. I would prefer to watch Little Shop of Horrors. That's my joint.
Oh, I forgot. We gotta mention.
oh
these.
man, Sing Little Shop of Horror.
There's two Christmas movies that I used to watch all the time as a kid that I did not mention. Neither one of us mentioned, and I would think that we would be, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. Me and Chris especially, not naming these because I know we watched them a gazillion times. Gremlins 1 and 2.
Ah,
That's
yeah.
Oh my God. Gremlins 2 was everything to me, man. I would watch that.
I went to the theater to see Gremlins 2.
Man, Gremlins 2, man, it played so much. It played so much, and it's like they took all the awesome from like 1 and just like kicked everything up a notch. And then you thought, like Gremlins as a spider, he was smart Gremlin.
It was the tan and brown one, the white and tan one. Gizmo.
Right. I mean, they just changed it up so much. And then I think it was like that alligator they call it the alligator moment with like the film technically stopping, and then Hulk Hogan comes in through the movie theater. I mean, that's obvious promotion, but it was just it just came such out of like left field,
Oh, let me ask you guys, last question, right? Did you see the announcements for like Disney and maybe who runs the Matrix, like Warner Brothers? I don't know if it's Time Warner, but did you see they said they're going to release their movie simultaneously on their streaming service and in the theaters?
Yeah, HBO Go or something like that. Matrix 4. And
So the Matrix 4 is going to be streaming and in the theater at the same time. I'm a fan. I got to go to the theater to see that.
Well, we got not only do we got to see it, but we got to cover it here. I mean,
right. I mean, he brings it up. I was like, Marcus has to have something to say about it. I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, when it comes out, we will definitely go into it, of course. But I guess we can. Oh, Krampus, that's a good one for the darker little Christmas movies.
And rest in peace, Debo. Rest in peace, Debo. Again.
I didn't hear what he said.
I said that you have the Snowman also. That's another dark.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I know Snowman. I've never seen Krampus. I wanted to see it though. I had heard good things about that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Marcus, that's it, man. We had like 2:10 right now, so I guess we good, man.
Yeah, we'll
like
get
2:35 in the morning. I guess I could go outside. They're still playing music downstairs, so I could go outside and be made fun of with these with all my my gold on. Gold all in my watch.
We Make sure you're throwing a
Wait,
straw
is the
hat.
goal watch from Party City too, Chris?
No. Don't do me like that, Emmanuel.
I'm making sure. Okay, I'm just making,
Don't do me like that.
You know, we saw the change, right? But we were looking because he flashed the watch, and I was like,
Look, the watch is okay. The chains are not. That was good though. I like that one.
All right. This has been your host, Young Morpheus, Mr. Chris Lawson, and right there, the man known as Emmanuel, the Blue Maverick. And this is the Political Matrix.
All right, guys.
Thank you for joining us. And
Thanks for
all
coming.
have a wonderful weekend and enjoy your week. Please make sure to catch us next week. And also, if you're interested, make sure to hop over to our other channel, What I've Been Thinking, the panel. And I still will be releasing separate videos on what I've been thinking, me, myself, but the panel, make sure to catch it tomorrow. And I wanted to put out, I have an interview coming up with Big Talk, Little Talk, and I will be joining the panel next Sunday with Steve Poikinen from Slow Day News. So make sure you catch that. And that's it. You all have a great one. Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
all right, thanks, guys.